Yes. Hello and welcome to another Electronic Heroes. I'm your host, Andrew Dickman. Today's episode is going to be a rather nice one, as you can tell. It's, yes, Disney and video games.
Let's take a moment to think about these two subjects. Well, first off, Walt Disney. We all know about him and his company in some form or medium. Movies, cartoons, TV shows, and the characters within them are historically memorable and timeless. Though they are practically based off classic stories and books, they were visually brought to life thanks to Disney and his team of animators, and generally made them a staple in our hearts and mind, young and old. Well, then what happens when you bring this material to the gaming scene? Well, quite a number of things actually, many of them also memorable to those in the early gaming scene. Like any series, there have been a number of titles that are famous and infamous, some better than others, and others, well, shameless tie-ins to latest movies and so on and so on. Either way, like Disney, games themselves have proven to be the same caliber, bringing us memorable characters and stories as timeless as any book, movie, or cartoon.
Now, a lot of these games people have remembered and talked about for ages now, but some of these Disney games have fallen through the cracks, so
hey, someone say Disney?
Holy Magilla! Where, how'd you get in here?
Oh, sorry.
Alright, Mike, you're a big animation buff, and while I'm on the subject, what would you say is your favorite Disney movie of all time?
Oh man, there's a lot of favorites that I have, but I think my favorite, hands down, is probably Fantasia.
Huh, you don't say.
Oh yeah, I think it's one of the most beautiful movies they ever did. Between the music and the animation, the dinosaurs with that really powerful music and the Rite of Spring, to the whimsical quality of the Pastoral and the Nutcracker, and Mickey, of course, and the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and what's that?
This, my friend, is Fantasia for the Sega Genesis.
You mean we're not going to talk about the movie, or the animation, or the music? Or
Okay. No, sorry. This is YouTube. I can't really show any clips of copyrighted material because, you know...
YouTube copyright claim robot.
Just making sure everything is nice and legal.
But Andrew, how are we going to talk about this movie if we can't show anything from it?
I got it.
Well, that was underwhelming.
Well, cheer up, Mikey, my boy. We still got a game to play. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, this isn't bad. It's freaking horrible! God!
Hey, what's Dracula going up here, huh? Fantasia is one of those after-the-fact games when Sega looked to Disney to help strengthen their library of games in the early 90s. And while Nintendo had the wonderful abilities of developers like Capcom to make their games for the system, Genesis relied on other developers outside their own teams to come up with games based on Disney characters. Mickey and Donald were certainly among the favorite characters to work off of, getting much more decent titles like Castle of Illusion and Quackshot. However, I cannot explain the reasoning to bring a movie such as Fantasia into the platforming scene.
You know, it could stem from the fact that Fantasia was re-released in theaters in 1990.
Yeah, but the game came out in November 91.
Well, so did the VHS release.
So this is a tie-in to a home video release.
I don't have to be here, you know.
Yeah, you do. Come on, continue on. Play.
Playing this game head-on without warning will probably make any gamer coming into it go Enemies spawn from nowhere without warning, your ability to hit enemies is doubtful at best, and while you have a magical ability, it drains fast with little to no opportunity to recharge. And you may be saying to yourself, why am I playing this? Why am I watching this? Why do the happy little mushrooms want Mickey dead? Well...
I hate it.
Okay, hang on, let's slow down a little bit.
When I first played this game, I thought I was doing something wrong, but the more I attempted to maneuver and carefully dodge every single piece of debris in my way, the more I realized that something was wrong. This game is a breeding ground of terrible programming. Take away its basic platforming, there is a mess of very awkward situations. Movement is very floaty. Mickey has this notable pause before jumping, and it's hard to describe the mid-air control, to which there is none. Platforms are difficult to decipher as well, and randomly placed. Yes, random is going to be a key word in this. Would you think that this was a place you could step on? No! And even then, any slight pixel to either side will make you fall into the deadly water you could swim in earlier. The placement of exits and bonuses within stages are difficult to avoid, and you'd think that when I say bonuses, that'd be a good thing. But there is a notable section of the lake area that takes you all the way back to an earlier portion of the stage. For a while, I thought this was some sort of death glitch. But no, it's some little treasure chest placed strategically on the edge of a teeny tiny lake island platform that's incredibly difficult to maneuver around, and you have to step around it to proceed. Even fairies, something that has been widely known as a symbol of helpful game items, whisks you away to a questionable dimension, and even upon escape, you are thrown backwards to risk an endless loop of these travels until your only recourse is to fire upon these fantastic creatures!
What is even the point of this game, anyway?
Well, according to the manual, Mickey Mouse is supposed to be finding magical notes that have been whisked away by evil forces.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Evil forces.
At the beginning of the game, Mickey looks pretty dead already, as his spiritual essence flies off as if to say, "Screw this game, I'm going home!" Even after a game over and his spirit returns, it still looks like he's dead. But I digress. The point of the game is to meander about until you find notes. Yes, notes that flutter about randomly at any point of the stage. Depending on the difficulty depends on how many notes you have to collect. And yes, this is the only change in difficulty. If you don't gather up enough notes at the end of the stage, you're forced to return into the hell that is this game.
Well, who even made this game, anyway?
Why, a little studio in Europe called Infogrames.
Infogames?
No, like, Info? Grames.
Oh, Grames. Oh. What the hell is a Grame?
This world is littered with inane enemies. I would say that they were placed almost strategically, if not for their cruel, chaotic movement patterns. Frogs, pelicans, one-legged emus. Look at that thing. It's practically the sack of potatoes everyone had to learn to draw in animation class. Who in the world would consider the hippo, the dancing hippo, would become an enemy for Mickey? And these books, are they enemies? No, they're actually helpful items. But you wouldn't be able to know that. They even just yanked out some other Disney characters out of the blue and said, whoop, they're Disney. It counts. Put them in.
Trust in me, just in me. Shut your eyes. I want out of this game.
I just can't get over how broken everything seems, because it really is. Certain spots seem to trigger enemies and patterns and even platforms, meaning the only way to progress is by stepping on every spot. It leaves you open to unexpected surprises that end up being unfair instead of challenging.
And as for the music,
Oh, do we really have to?
look, I got a lot of crap when I left out the Mega Man 2 soundtrack in that video, so I gotta talk about this.
Do we really have to talk about this?
Man, John Williams really let himself go on this one, didn't he?
It's Igor Stravinsky, you culture-deprived fuck!
When you're trying to emulate such a magnificent sound such as classic tunes of Fantasia, I think anything could do it better than Genesis. While I do appreciate a lot of music that has come from the console, there's just an unsurprising lack of grace in every stage, not to mention monotony. Every time you end up getting hit, you get this lovely little tune. Kind of fitting, actually. I mean, doesn't that just embody the spirit of failure right there? There just really is not much else to say. The ending is pretty underwhelming as well. After all, the stress these stages put you through, the tireless effort to maneuver around the janky controls and random enemy placements, you are merely rewarded a hearty handshake. Forget this simplistic wonder and achievement of good over evil at the end of Ave Maria. This is much more rewarding. Oh, applause. Applause.
How could they do such an awful thing to such a wonderful, wonderful movie? I mean, they must have made decent games based off of some of these movies, right?
Well, you know, when you think about it, maybe it wasn't so much the fault of the developers, but the time it was made.
The time it came out, platformers were a big deal. Several games tried to emulate Mario and Sonic merely on the scale of their success, and even if they wanted to branch out and do other things, the limitations were still there, leaving little risk-taking allowed.
So what, like, make it something else?
Well, yeah, if Fantasia had a chance to be another type of game for another generation, what kind of game do you think it would be?
Well, obviously a music game.
Music games are now a big deal, and since its humble beginnings, like say Dance Dance Revolution, we can now explore even more possibilities with known properties. Let's take a look at a newer game, Fantasia, Music Evolved. Say what you will about its first impressions, it does tend to delve deeper into the concept of Fantasia itself. The colors, the conducting, rhythm, and motion are all things that were explored in this title. While I wish I had time to delve deeper into this game itself, given the fact it has yet seen a release, I felt that it was rather appropriate. Sometimes it just takes another medium of genre to make something stand out. And while Music Evolved delves more into modern tastes, from what I've seen, it does seem to delve into those elements of music and visuals quite well, much like the Fugue in D minor introduction to the Fantasia movie. But at the same time, if they really tried and gave a little bit more effort, developers could make something extremely unique with the subjects given. It's just a shame that Fantasia for the Genesis came out the way it did. It didn't push any limits, but to be fair, it probably couldn't.
Fantasia is a brilliant movie that combines both the artistry of animation with the diverse, wonderful quality of classical music and makes something completely new and interesting out of it. And although the movie flopped originally on release in 1940, it's grown a following over the years, and me, along with thousands of other people, look at that movie as a timeless classic.
And while I don't blame game developers to attempt to bring a classic timeless piece such as Fantasia into the game world, unless it's given some sort of care, thought, and appreciation, it's most likely going to fall flat on its face. But hey, that's Fantasia for the Genesis.
Yep, and now that you've shown me a game that's completely ruined my perception of reality and took a dump on one of my favorite movies of all time, I think it's about time I requested that you review a game based off one of your favorite Disney movies.
Oh, really? What is it? No. You stole me $10,000 for the hole in my roof.
Wait, what? Freaking horrible! Oh.
There.
Cut! We're done!
If you enjoyed this Disney-themed video game review, please like, comment, and subscribe. And just trust in me. Oh, that was so I'm sorry. I screwed up that take, Andrew. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, my.